In this random quotes project, we're going to be storing our quotes locally, and for our logic, we're going to be using only jQuery. First, we obviously need to create our HTML and CSS structure. So therefore, over here, you can see that I have index HTML. Then I have over here main CSS, where we're going to have our styles, and this is going to be the script.js, right? So we're going to start with index HTML, and I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to say that I would want a basic skeleton, right? So again, you can do the same that I'm doing in the brackets, or in your text editor, you probably have the same option, right? So where you can get right away a basic skeleton for the HTML, and over here we're going to say that this is going to be English. The title, we might as well going to say that this is going to be JS, which is going to stand for JavaScript, obviously, right? And then we're going to go over here in the body, and first we're going to put our elements, right? So over here, what we're going to have, this is going to be div, and the class is going to be container. Over here, container, and you can see that I forgot to actually use the emmet, right? Then we're going to have a div that is going to be quote text over here like this. And then within this div, we're going to have a heading 1, which is going to have an ID of quote over here like this, right? Then I press the tab, and over here I'm going to say that if you, right, would like over here to read a random quote over here, click the button, right? So this is we're gonna button below, right? So this is gonna be our text, and then we're gonna have a paragraph, which is gonna have an ID of author. So I'm gonna write over here paragraph, and this is gonna be author here like this, and then we're gonna have a by coding addict in it, right? So over here we're gonna have a line, and then I'm gonna say by coding addict over here like this. And then once this div is over, right? So once we have worked in this div, still in the container, we're gonna add a button over here. We're gonna say the button is gonna have an ID, and we're gonna say this is gonna be btn, right? So very naive, right? ID in a normal case, we obviously wouldn't use something like this, but because this project is so small, we can do it like this over here. And I'm gonna say click here. And now what I would need to do is obviously link main CSS and JavaScript, right? So here I can write link, and I'm going to say main CSS, and over here in the bottom of the body, I'm going to say this is going to be obviously script, and the source is going to be script.js. So here source script and script.js. So now that we're done with the HTML, we can actually go ahead and go to main CSS, right? So I'm going to go to main CSS, and we're going to start applying rules, right? And the first one is going to be for the whole body. We're going to say over here, we're going to say background color over here, and we're going to say that this is going to be CE D0 CE, right? So the kind of grayish one. Then we're going to have min height, and this is going to be 100 viewports. Then we're going to have a text align, and we're going to say this is center. And then we're going to have a padding, which is going to be 100 pixels, right? And then after that, we're going to have a rule for the actual container over here. And we're going to say that the background color is going to be actually white over here. And then we're going to have a width, and we're going to set it actually to 80 viewports over here like this. And then we're going to have a padding of 40 pixels. And then we're going to have a height, and the height is going to be 35 viewports, right? So over here, height is going to be view height, something like this. So that one is going to be 35. And then we're going to have a border, and we're going to say border left, and this is going to be 3 pixels solid. And we're going to say this is going to be the orange one, 15F205, right? So over here, then we're going to have a quote text over here, quote. I'm going to say text, and the min height is going to be 20. Right, so we're going to say min height and 20 view heights over here like this. And then we're going to have a actual container, and container heading 1. Right, so I'm going to write container and heading 1. And over here, we're going to write that this is going to be font size over here, and we're going to say 50 pixels. And over here, we're going to say this is going to be text align left. Text align not center. We're going to say left over here. And then we're gonna have the actual paragraph over here like this, and we're gonna say container over here paragraph, and over here we're gonna have text transform property. So I'm gonna say text transform, and we're gonna say capitalize. Then we're gonna have a color, and over here the color again is gonna be CED0CE, right? So something like this. Then we're gonna have a text align right. Then we're gonna have font style italic, right? Style over here, not stretch, actually style. I'm gonna say this is gonna be italic, and then let's actually create a little bit more room so we can work over here. And once we have the italic, then we're gonna have font size 30 pixels over here like this. And then we have two more rules, and this is going to be for the button, right? So over here I'm going to say button, and over here I'm going to say margin. Margin top is going to be 30 pixels over here. And then we're going to have a font size of 25 pixels. And then we're going to have a padding of 10 pixels and 20 pixels. And over here background color is going to be black, so background color. And over here is 191716, right? And then we're gonna have a color, and the color over here is gonna be F15025, right? And then we'll have text transform to uppercase, text transform to uppercase, right? So we're gonna go over here and we're gonna say uppercase. And once we have a button, now we need a button hover, right? So over here I'm gonna write hover over here. And I'm going to say this is going to be color and hashtag 191716, right? And background color is going to be actually orange. So here we're going to say that the background color is over here hashtag F15025, right? And now we can actually save this and check it out what we have without any logic, right? You can see the only thing we probably should fix over here, right? You can see that this button is not in our container. And another thing we should change is actually a min height to 35. Right, so we're going to go back to container, and we're going to give it a viewport of height of 55, right? So if I refresh over here, now we have 55. Now we're actually ready to go to our script JS over here and start applying the logic. Since we're going to be working with a jQuery, don't forget to include the CDN or download the jQuery, right? Or here you can see that I'm using a Google Developers where I'm getting my CDN, but obviously you can get it anywhere. And once we're sitting in our script file, you can see over here that I cheated a little bit, right? That you can see that I already created my quotes, and you can see that this is going to be an array, and this is going to have a 10 objects. But over here I'm going to be using a JSON, right? So over here you can see that my property and the value both are going to be double quotes, and I'm doing this just so we can get used to how to work with JSON, right? So here, once I have my quotes, right, my quotes array, then over here we're going to go in the bottom, and we're going to create our first variable, right? So over here I'm going to say this is going to be const, and this is actually going to be a btn, and I'm going to use a $sign since we're using jQuery, right? And over here I'm going to say this is going to be a targeting, and over here I'm going to say this is going to be targeting ID btn, right? So this was an RD, right? So semicolon over here, and then we need actually add as always a event, right? So I'm going to say this is going to be a btn, $sign btn, and then we're going to write this is going to be click, and over here then we're going to write a function, right? So over here I'm going to say this is going to be anonymous, right? So function over here, and over here we're going to write what is the function going to do, right? So over here we can put a semicolon, and over here I'm going to write that this is going to be let, and I'm going to say this is going to be number, right? And then we're going to say this is going to be math, and we're going to say floor, right? And over here we're going to say this is going to be math random, and then it's going to be a multiplied by quotes length, right? So over here we're going to say this is going to be quotes, and we're going to say length, right? So once we have this, then we can actually close this line, right? Because we don't need it anymore, right? Well, meaning we have finished, over here we can finish the statement. And then we're going to say that we would want target a quote. So over here I'm going to say that I would want to target quote over here like this. Then I'm going to say this is going to be HTML. And then we're going to say that over here we're going to have a span. So here I'm going to write this is going to be span, and over here this is going to be a double quote over here. And then we're going to have another span over here like this. And then we're going to have a actual value, right? So over here I'm going to say this is going to be quotes, and we're going to say this is going to be number, right? So this is the same number that we're creating over here. And then we're going to say this is going to be quote, right? So now we're targeting the actual number, right? And then over here we're saying what would be the property that we're interested in. This would be the quote property. And now what we would need to do is just copy this guy, right? So I'm going to grab this one and I'm going to copy over here, copy and paste. And then once we have this, we would need a second one, right? So what I'm going to do over here, I'm going to grab the whole line and we're just going to copy this. And over here, we're going to say instead of quote, this is going to be author. And then there's going to be only one span. So we're going to change this one, right? So we can put 2 dashes over here. And then we can just delete this one, right? So we need only one span. And instead of quote, this is going to be author. So what we would need to do right now is actually save this, right? Save this JavaScript. And let's go ahead and let's have a look what we have accomplished. And when we go and look at our file, right, you can see over here that this is the quote, right? And as we're clicking, right, it's actually changing the value, right? So everything is working. Our script was correct.